Okay, good morning. Today is May 30th, chapter, and we're still reading in this book here, The Wrath to Me by Claudia Black. And when we left off, reading about different feelings that one has, we went over feelings like crying, fear, anger, all that stuff. And so where we left off was starting out the day with guilt. So I will continue to read as I move forward. Guilt. Kids assume they have power to affect everything, when in truth they have very little power in an alcoholic environment. All dad ever hollered about was us kids, so I assumed we had to be making him drink. Children need to know they do not cause alcoholism, and it is not their behavior which causes parents to continue drinking alcoholism. Children need to be reassured, even if they behave in a way which upsets parents, that their parents has many choices other than drinking to handle the situation. Remind them no one is responsible for the alcoholic's actions. Save the alcoholic and their children's actions cannot cause alcoholism. Reaffirm the illness concept. Acknowledge children's feelings of helplessness, but don't let them continue creating guilt from the lack of power they experience. Help them, once again, to see what they are doing is positive, i.e., not enabling, not being judgmental, but being honest with the alcoholic parent when sober. Typically, when children feel guilty, they are feeling many other feelings which also need to be acknowledged. Elizabeth, age 11, looked up at me during a therapy session and blurted out, "I don't love my mom." She waited for me to validate or chastise her for feeling this way. I responded with, "It hurts, doesn't it, Elizabeth? It's okay if you don't feel like you love mom. I'm sure a lot has happened to make you feel that way. It's really okay." Then went on to talk about love and hate, conflicting feelings, and how people feel guilty when they think they are supposed to feel one way, but actually feel another. Children may feel hate, dislike, a numbness toward, or simply feel they don't love their parents. They then feel guilty for experiencing these thoughts. Children not only feel guilty because they think they are the cause of the problem, or because they cannot remedy the problem, but they also feel guilty for having conflicting feelings of love and hate for the alcoholic or non-alcoholic parent. Kids learn early in childhood that they are expected to love and respect their parents. Father Joseph Martin, a renowned educator and counselor in the field of alcoholism, believes a practicing alcoholics are incapable of loving anyone, including themselves. Alcoholics whose number one priority is to drink is incapable of acting in ways which demonstrate or accepts love. Love consists of mutual respect, trust, and sharing. All the characteristics an alcoholic loses himself and for others. The inability of the alcoholic to love and accept love is both frustrating and confusing for the children. It is also understandable for children not to love their parents. They need the parent, but they need myself is not love. Children have to be helped to understand that feelings are transitory. Feelings change. One may feel intense hatred for a person that at another time feel empathy for that same person. One may experience great tenderness toward a person now and become enraged with the same person a few hours later. Feelings change, and children will not be struck with a feeling forever. Most children do not realize this by themselves. It must be explained to them in terms they can understand. Children need to know it is possible to experience more than one feeling at a time. Sadness and anger can be felt together, as can happiness and sadness, fear and anxiety, love and hate. There are numerous combinations. What's important is that the adult be accepting of the child's feelings, even if the child says, I don't love mom, I hate her. If adults can accept and validate children's feelings of intense dislike as well as anger, fear, and disappointment, then adults can also help children not to live lives of guilt for having these feelings. We can help children work through these feelings and hopefully acquire a more positive acceptance of themselves. Love was discussed relative to guilt. It is vital to remember most children do love their parents, and love will usually withstand a lot of inconsistency, even trauma, including parenting. Remember, love relates to the experiences shared prior to the onset of alcoholism, as well as to the sober moments shared. Alcoholic parents are not drunk all the time. In fact, many never appear drunk. They are just never sober. Alcoholism is a process, the onset of which most often begins in a person's mid-20s and early 30s. This indicates that most parents begin raising their children in non-alcoholic years or early alcoholic years. When a person is in the early stages of alcoholism, their behavior may not be consistently disruptive to the family. The same is true regarding love for the non-alcoholic parent. While non-alcoholic parents over time become depressed, angry, rigid, or absent, this behavior was not typical of them in the early stages. Non-alcoholic parents, too, were more consistent with their children and provided more quality time for them. So children often did learn to love their parents in a once healthier environment. Also remember, while we cannot make children love their parents, we can help them not to hate. It is easier for a child not to get stuck in hate if we can provide more consistency in their lives as well as educating them to better understand alcoholism and its effects on the alcoholic and on the entire family structure. Children usually learn about feelings and want to do with them by modeling adults. More healthy role models that are available, greater their ability to adopt that healthy behavior and utilize positive avenues of expression. The more isolated the alcoholic family becomes, fewer options children have to learn from healthy adults. Children need access to healthy role models. Parents will not be able to attend to each and every feeling their children experience, but if they consistently offer healthy messages and validation and model ways to cope with feelings, the children won't need constant support for every feeling they experience. Manipulativeness. Some children particularly adolescents, recognize they have the power to manipulate the alcoholic during spells of personality changes, remorse, and blackouts. Children quickly learn they have power over certain situations in their lives and use this knowledge to their own advantage. No, Dad will let me out Saturday night, no questions asked, after he's been drinking. So I'll wait till late Friday night to ask. If I ask earlier, he'll be more sober and he'll ask me 20 questions about what I'm doing. Or ask Dad for your allowance when he's drinking, and he'll give you 20 instead of 5. The best way to handle children taking advantage during such times is to seriously discuss parents' alcoholism with them. Explain the sickness to them and why they are not to prey on it. A non-alcoholic parent will need to demonstrate via action that they are taking a greater role in parenting, will set rules and see that situations are handled fairly. Be aware that children will not only manipulate the alcoholic, but will use similar tactics on the co-alcoholic parent. Recognize also that the co-alcoholics have developed feelings of guilt because they know the children suffer from lack of proper attention. The lack of attention stems from the alcoholic because of the obsession with drinking, and this same lack of attention is felt from the co-alcoholic because his or her attention is directed to the alcoholic and the problems resulting from the drinking. Children are children, and their manipulativeness can be expected as a normal part of their growing up process. But if children are dealt with consistency and fairly, their manipulativeness can be reduced to a reasonable level. Protection. Carrie, age 6, came to her 5th child group with her older brother Tony, age 8, and proposed this problem. Both children told me their dad had returned to drinking since he left the alcoholism treatment program 5 weeks earlier. Because they did not live with their dad and saw him only on weekends, his drinking was not strongly interfering with the child-parent relationship. They explained that even though Dad was drinking, he wasn't getting drunk, nor was he causing any problems. During this particular meeting, Carrie told us her dad promised to take her to Disneyland next weekend. She had been to Disneyland the year before and really liked it. Tony wouldn't be going along because he was taking a weekend trip with their mother. While Carrie wanted to go to Disneyland, she was scared her father would drink, ruining the trip. Carrie loved her dad and wanted to be with him, and she wanted to go to Disneyland. She was also frightened. She was scared of being embarrassed should her father drink, and she feared his ability to drive safely on the 1.5 hour trip home. On the other hand, she felt a need to protect her father and didn't want to hurt his feelings by telling him he frightens her. Carrie further believes that if she told her father why she is afraid, he would stop taking her places and would not want to see her at all. Carrie didn't want to share her fears with her mother because her mother might not let her go to Disneyland at all. Carrie knew she couldn't go on the weekend trip with Mom, and Tony, finally, she said, it's all so complicated. Besides, maybe Dad won't drink anyway. Carrie was very concerned and exasperated about her dilemma, which clearly demonstrated that her father's return to drinking same group, Teresa, age 11, who goes to her dad's house on weekends, told us, Dad goes out in the evening and drinks, stays out real late. Teresa said she stayed alone during these evenings, alone, worrying about her dad and crying a lot. Teresa feels she can't make her dad stay home, and she doesn't want to tell her mother, who may not let her spend weekends at her father's. While these are certainly not the most severe problems encountered by young children, they are representative of the dilemmas children usually face trying to resolve problems by themselves. For both Tricia and Carrie, there are not any clear-cut, satisfactory answers for such problems, but all children need an adult, preferably a parent, to, number one, offer them guidance, number two, protect them, and number three, give them permission to protect themselves. Often children, these basic messages, one, the alcoholic parent is sick, not always able to make the best decision, and two, it is important and permissible to ask others for help. When children have been briefed on possible situations, given positive messages about themselves, and when they believe they will be supported by an adult, they will usually choose better options. Parents can't explore possible courses of actions prior to a problem occurring. Children can better handle problems and protect themselves. If necessary, if they have the time to discuss and think over potential situations. It's even more helpful if these discussions include the alcoholic parent, or if the alcoholic parent is told children have been given instructions and or permission to protect themselves. Be sure the alcoholic is sober when brought into these discussions. I suggest these options to be covered during a family gathering where everyone can write down situations they are fearful of addressing or situations they have already addressed, but want to explore further. Remember, the alcoholic won't be particularly receptive to this idea, but it needs to be done nonetheless. When having periodic family meetings to discuss such situations, it is important that each participant be given the opportunity to talk about past situations without fear of others' judgments. For this gathering to be successful, should be to be conducted by a caring adult who understands alcohol. If the co-alcoholic is not participating in a recovery process through Al-Anon and or counseling, this format is not likely to work. This occasion should not be used to dump on the alcoholic, but rather to talk about how to handle situations which pose problems. It is a meeting where children can participate and walk away with workable options. Page 89 is an example of a form which may be very helpful in conducting a family discussion. Provides several for each family member. Let each keep his or her own copy and have extras for other problems they may attempt to solve on their own or for the next family meeting. Each member of the family needs to make a personal list of what ifs, posing actual or potential problems. Possibilities which follow are the results of mutual talking and problem solving with family groups. Talk with children about how they can protect themselves, how to avoid dangerous or vulnerable situations. So she has put in here so-called list that one could write down that simply says, what if? The problem solving. What if? Situation. Child's. What if? Dad and I are planning to go to a ball game Saturday afternoon, but he begins drinking early that morning. Possibilities? 1. Don't go with Dad anywhere once he has already started to drink. Or 2. Don't go with Dad anywhere once he has begun drinking for a couple of hours. I can tell him I changed my mind, that's all. Mom said I couldn't go. The family agreement says not to go once he has been drinking. The role of the non-alcoholic adult during the problem-solving session is twofold. 1, to provide guidance and offer suggestions so children realize they do have alternative choices. And 2, to reassure children that they will have support in these choices and that their choices will not be discounted, nor will children be punished for their feelings. Problem solving continues. Situation. Child. What if I am with Dad 40 minutes from home and his driving is scaring me? He doesn't seem drunk, but he has had at least 6 beers in the last 2 hours. Possibilities. 1. I'm in the car, Dad is driving, tell him his driving scares me and ask him to slow down or pull over. This request is only likely to work if Dad has been forewarned of it. May not be an option if Dad is more likely to become angry. Or 2, if he pulls the car over, or if I ask him to pull the car over, I will ask other parent or friend, person already designated and who has agreed to help when available, someone will come to pick me up. While these possibilities are not necessarily always workable, children need to know they are not expected to stay in a situation which frightens them. And if they choose alternatives, other caring adults will support their actions. It is important to remember these are merely options, not necessarily suggestions or recommendations for your family members. Each family unit knows its own situation best. What is important here is the process of identifying potential and actual problems and then seeking viable options. Also remember, children do want to spend time and share experiences with their parents. Not all time children spend with an alcoholic parent is bad or trauma causing. There can be wonderfully pleasant times. Children do not need to be isolated from an alcoholic parent, nor will they be hurt because they witness isolated incidences of a parent's drinking or being intoxicated. As well, it is important to remember children will feel deprived if they lose the option of spending time with the alcoholic. Sometimes children will risk riding with Dad while he is drunk because they want to go somewhere important to them, i.e., the department store, a friend's house, ball game, etc. They may risk a potentially embarrassing situation inviting friends home to maintain friendships, or risk inviting the alcoholic parent to a school function to show their pride in that parent. In Trish and Carrie's cases, they both eventually decided they wanted to go with their fathers. We adults need to understand children's need and love for their parents. Remember, a valuable and loving relationship can be possible even with an alcoholic parent. Problem solving continues. Carrie, what if? Carrie's problem, fear that Dad will go to Disneyland and drink. Fear of embarrassment in Dad's drunken driving, but she decides she will go. Possibilities: 1. Tell Dad about concerns prior to going. Ask him to try not to drink. 2. Ask Dad to take a specific adult friend, one you know, and suggest for protection. Situation: Teresa's what if. Tricia decides for herself she wants to go to Dad's each weekend and doesn't want to be alone, feel bad. She asked him to stay home on evening, but that hasn't worked. Possibilities: 1. Tell Dad I love him and want him to stay with me, but I only see him on weekends. 2. Take games with me, knowing I will probably be alone at night. Or 3. Tell Dad I want to have a friend spend nights with me if he's going to go out. Situation: Adult family members have what ifs, and parents what if. What if I fear fire, since the alcoholic smokes while severely intoxicated? She has burned holes in the furniture. 1. Get a fire alarm in the house. 2. Identify escape routes. 3. Have fire drill. And 4. From away, non-alcoholic parent, provide another adult to stay or have children stay at another home. Do not allow children to sit all night in fear. If the alcoholic is not in the meeting when the problem-solving possibilities are discussed, it can be helpful to tell the alcoholic about the family's plan of action. The last example, and escape routes are identified, the fire alarm is purchased. Be sure the alcoholic knows his or her behavior as a result of alcoholism is perceived as a major threat to the family's safety. Problem solving continues. Adult child. What if? Don't want to go to parents for Christmas due to mom's usual drunkenness at this time. Don't want Dad to be alone, yet don't want children to experience another Christmas drunken grandparents. Possibility: invite Dad to come along for Christmas gathering and tell him why. 2. Go for a limited time, 2 hours versus all day. And 3. Extend an invitation to Mom to come to your house. She knows your rule, no drinking. If options are not found which will help the family feel safer during a particular situation, ask a professional alcoholism counselor for suggestions. Obviously, children are more likely to use any option if they know they will be supported and positive response from another adult will follow. This family discussion approach is a major step which will begin breaking down the alcoholic's denial process and will eliminate the rules of not talking, not feeling, and not trusting. Reshaping roles. For the young child, as described in Chapter 4, progression of roles, whichever roles children adopt, that is responsible, adjusting, vacating, or acting out, lead them to have gaps. Gaps are psychological voids which result from inconsistent parenting and the lack of appropriate and emotional support. These voids are integrated into the child's social development and create major problems for those children in adulthood. The gaps include not learning to relax, not knowing how to rely on others, not knowing how to follow or not knowing how to lead, never allowing one's own needs to be met, and many other undeveloped coping mechanisms. Not only will these gaps create living problems, but they may result in the predisposition of children to marry and or become alcoholics themselves. These gaps and voids are those which most often predispose children to experience emotional problems. When giving the children an understanding of alcoholism, we take talking about the real issues, teaching them to identify and express feelings while establishing healthy support networks. There is also a specific need to focus on reshaping roles. There are obvious benefits in learning a sense of responsibility, adjusting, and placating. Yet, this process, gaps are created because children have not acquired a sense of emotional balance. They adopt the roles I've described out of severe need, a sense of survival, so that they may bring about consistency to an extremely chaotic and unpredictable family system. So while you, the non-alcoholic parent, should not seek to take away positive aspects of any role, you will need to help children achieve a better sense of balance in certain areas. In essence, you need to fill the gaps. You must take time to develop an environment in which the children can learn social skills their natural survival techniques are not allowing them to learn. Reshaping of roles generally means you must change your expectations of your children's behaviors, and also change your behavior toward children. Instead of becoming immediately frustrated when your 8-year-old acts 8 years of age and insisting she act like a little adult, allow her to display some of that normal 8-year-old behavior. This will require more patience on the parent's part. When your placating child reaches out to placate one more time, rather than applaud him, let him know you appreciate his thoughtfulness, but you want to be alone and you are going to call an adult friend to talk. As you assist in reshaping roles, you may experience resistance from children in a variety of ways. Children may exhibit confusion, depression, withdrawal, or anger. Remember, change in any system, even when that change is positive, such as suggested here, is often met with resistance. Be aware that your children will feel awkward about making changes, but these feelings are natural and are to be expected. You can expect a certain amount of rebellion from a 10-year-old who has been busy playing mom and the little adult when you suggest she try to play hopscotch and giggle with her friends, behavior which has been totally out of her realm of reality. A similar rebellion will come from the adjusting child when you ask him to share his anger or hurt. This son who managed to stare at the television all the while dad was drunkenly ranting and raving, and who showed no signs of being affected, his shared feelings now seems far beyond his present capability. For the placating child who has been taking care of everyone else's feelings, to become more selfish about her own feelings is a difficult task. Being selfish does not give her the satisfaction she felt taking care of others. She has not learned to feel good about herself when she is away from her charges. This becomes a very frightening time of an adjustment for her. Reshaping roles will be difficult whether or not the drinking has stopped. Role reshaping must be done slowly, and it is more effective when several adults are involved in the process. Tell grandparents, extended family, neighbors, and school personnel how they can be helpful to the child or children. In reshaping roles, not suggest I am not suggesting you take a responsible child and make him irresponsible, or a adjusting child and make her inflexible, or a placating child and make him totally egocentric. I'm suggesting these children learn a balanced role and experience a sense of choice when they respond to different situations. It is important for all children to develop a sense of choice about where this responsibility lies. You, the parent, need to help all your children accept certain responsibilities for themselves and to reward them verbally for their accomplishments. While some children would take on more responsibility than others, it is very important for you not to allow one child to take on surrogate or strong parenting role for the other children. That overly responsive child, this may mean you relieve him of the necessity to do certain responsible things. At the same time, being supportive of others. Fun, activity, appropriate for a child his age. You may find yourself saying to Tom, Mrs. Brown from next door will be here when your sister comes home from school today. So if you want, you can stay after school for about 45 minutes and play. Your changing of roles may mean you are spreading the areas of responsibility, and it may mean you are providing others to share the responsible role child previously held alone. Spreading the responsibility may mean providing a babysitter, even though your 10-year-old is extremely responsible and nearly as capable as a 15-year-old. Hire to babysit. It could mean that you get up 20 minutes early in the morning and prepare a casserole. Make you, the adult, responsible for dinner and not your 12-year-old. Children need your support and encouragement to make friends and to be involved in after-school play activities. Applaud and encourage them to take time out to play and laugh. Be careful not to de-emphasize the importance of responsibility with overly responsible children. Instead, emphasize parts of their characters they have not yet actualized. Their spontaneity, their playfulness, their ability to lean on someone, their ability to recognize that they are not compelled to have all the answers. Responsible children need to be praised and have their deeds acknowledged, not only when they are doing their best and acting as strong leaders, but when other endeavors take them out of the leadership role, such as playing on a team without being the captain. Remember, while these children demonstrate leadership qualities, this personality characteristic will only be healthy when it is not adopted as a matter of survival. Reinforce the children's natural need to share with and lean on others when they have to make decisions and work on projects. Let them know you are the parent, and although they are bright and accomplished youngsters, they are still just that, youngsters. People of all ages need help, advice, and guidance at some points in their lives. These messages are best transmitted when both your words and your actions coincide. With children who are not overly responsible, you should encourage them to take risks and make decisions for themselves. They need to learn to trust their own decision-making process. They need to find when they do make a decision, you really will follow through and support them. Start with situations which are the least threatening and have the fewest possible negative consequences. What television show to watch, what to have for dinner, how to handle a project. These children must learn to feel good about themselves because of their own accomplishments and their own decisions, not because they seek your approval. Remember, a placating child will gladly make a decision if that is what is necessary to obtain your approval. Parental approval is not the proper goal. However, the goal is to instill in children the ability to make their own healthy decisions, to learn organizational skills, and to know how to problem solve. As you teach the adjusting and placating children a sense of leadership, you will be teaching the reasonable child some adjusting qualities. They will most likely learn to adjust only when they find others are capable and willing to provide direction for them. Until the willingness is demonstrated by others, responsible children won't trust relinquishing control. As you help children identify and share feelings, you will need to spend more time with the placating child, reinforcing the fact that he or she is not responsible for another's feelings. For instance, when you were crying because your husband was verbally abusive, let your child know it hurt your feelings. Yes, you are sad, but the child is not responsible for your sadness. Share with your child that you are okay when you just had your feelings hurt. Placating children need to learn to play, as do other children who take on adult roles. These children need a lot of reinforcement from you in order to learn it is okay to have their own needs met. Placating children become more stable when they know others are aware of and sensitive to the feelings in the home and that those feelings are being denied. For the acting out child, recognize that this child is displaying unacceptable behavior because of one, family problem, two, inability to have needs met, and three, lack of knowledge as to how to let others know what is wanted. Acting out children many times were initially responsible and sensitive to others, but found it brought them no satisfaction. The consequences became rebellion, and rebellion used to ward off pain. Many acting out children have the ability to lead and can respond sensitively to others when in the right environment. These children must learn new productive outlets for anger. These children need validation and consistency in their lives. Quite often, acting out children need to be conceded by a helping professional. Professional should be a person experienced dealing with both alcoholic families and adolescents. Ideally, the entire family will be consulted. Acting out children need to learn to express fears, disappointment, and failures, as well as successes. A loving, safe environment that is a good family therapy setting. That's it for today. Come back on Saturday, and we'll start with the non-drinking alcoholic home. In that, I want to thank you all for showing up, and I hope everybody has a great and fantastic day, and we'll see you on Saturday.